Hello everybody and welcome to this lesson. This lesson is about adding and subtracting real numbers. We know what real numbers are. Rational numbers and irrational numbers together form real numbers. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to find the sums and differences of real numbers. So get, set, go. Are you ready? So welcome to the lesson. Let's first understand what is a number line. A real number line has 0 in the middle, and onto the right hand side of 0 you have all positive numbers, and onto the left hand side of 0 you have all negative numbers. So this is a number line. We will use a number line to add or subtract real numbers, and let's solve the problems by getting into it. Let's try to understand how to do this problem. What is each sum? Use a number line. Now this is the number line we know. On the left hand side, on the right hand side we have all positive numbers. On the left hand side of 0 we have all negative numbers. The question is 3 plus 5. How much is it going to be by using a number line? So first thing is we will start with 3. So we need to place a pointer over 3 here. Now how do we decide which direction to move? Do we move right or do we move left of this point 3? Now observe, if the number added is positive, we are adding a positive number, so move towards right. If the number added is negative, if this number happens to be negative, that is added, then move to the left. So in this case now, 5 is a positive number and that is added to 3. So which side will we move? We will move in towards the right hand side. So if how many units will we move? We will move 5 units. So from 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We will land up over here. So the answer is, it's going to be 8. We can easily show this neatly on a number line like this. We start with 3, move towards the right. Why do we move right 5 units? Because 5 is a positive number and it is added to 3. So we move right 5 units. So 3 plus 5 is 8. Let's try a few more. Okay, so 3 plus negative 5. So we start with 3. This is a basic number line, so we place it at 3. Now can you guess which side are we going to move? The number added is a negative number. So we will move left by 5 units. So if we move left 5 units, we are going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we land up at negative 2. So showing it in a neat way, this will be negative 2. So the answer is going to be 5 plus negative 5. 3 plus negative 5 is going to be negative 2. That is your answer. So are you getting how we use a number line to add or subtract real numbers? Let's try a few more. Let's try this. Negative 3 plus 5. So we place a pointer at negative 3 first. So at negative 3 we place a pointer. And then which direction do we move? The number added is a positive number, so we will move 5 units to the right. So from negative 3, we move 5 units right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we land up at 2. So the answer for negative 3 plus 5 is going to be 2. Great. Let's try one more. Try this. Negative 3 plus negative 5. So now, start with negative 3. We can use the same number line. then the number added is a negative number. So we move left by 5 units. So if we move left from negative 3, 5 units, where do we land up? We land up at negative 8. So the answer for negative 3 plus negative 5 is equal to negative 8. So do you get it now how we use a number line? Great. Can you try one and see whether you got it? So did you try this? What is negative 8 plus 4? Use a number line. So we place the pointer at negative 8. Which direction do we move in? Because the number added is 4 and 4 happens to be a positive number over here. So we move 4 units to the right. So if we move 4 units to the right, we get 1, 2, 3, 4. So where do we land up? At negative 4. So negative 8 plus 4 is negative 4. So do you get it how we use a number line? So let's move on. Let's try to understand what's an absolute value. If I ask you, what is the distance of 4 from 0? It is 4 units. And what is the distance of negative 4 from 0? It is 4 units. So we say that the absolute value of a number is its distance from 0 on a number line. So if I ask you, what is the absolute value of 4? What does it mean? It means I am asking you what is the distance of 4 from 0. The answer is 4 units. If I ask you what is the distance of what is the absolute value of negative 4? What am I asking you? I am asking what is the distance of negative 4 from 0? And the answer is 4 again. So absolute value is nothing but the distance of a number from 0. And how do we write that? We write it with a notation called absolute value between these two. So what is the absolute value of 4? In other words, the distance of 4 from 0. It is 4. What is the absolute value of negative 4? It is still 4. Because the distance of negative 4 from 0 is 4. So what do you observe? The absolute value of a number is always going to be positive. Do you observe that? Because absolute value is nothing but the distance of a number from 0. And the distance is always positive. So the absolute value of a number is always going to be positive. So now do you get the concept of absolute values? You can use absolute value when you want to find the sums of real numbers. And let us see how we do that. Let's try to understand some of the concepts of adding real numbers. Now, how to add numbers with the same sign? For example, 3 plus 4. Now how to add? Observe the method. Find out the absolute values of the numbers. If you want to add numbers with the same sign, you want to add two numbers with the same sign, add their absolute values. The sum has the same sign as the addends. Now what is the absolute value of 3? It is 3. And what is the absolute value of 4? It is 4. Add them, it is 7. And the sign of this will be the same as the sign of the addends. And the sign of 3 and 4 is plus. So the answer of this is plus 7. Let's take another example. Negative 3 plus negative 4. Now over here you are adding two numbers which have the same sign. How do we go about? What is the absolute value of negative 3? It's 3. And what is the absolute value of negative 4? It's 4. Add them, 7. Now what will be the sign? The sign will be the same as the sign of the add ends. So it's going to be negative 7. So how do you add numbers with the same sign? To add two numbers with the same sign, add their absolute values. Then the sum has the same sign as the addends. What if the numbers have different signs? Let's check one. Let's take, for example, negative 3 plus 4. Okay? Now how do we do this? To add two numbers with different signs. Now over here the signs are different. The sign of 3 is negative and the sign of 4 is positive, and both are added. Subtract their absolute values. The sum has the same sign as the addend with the greater absolute value. Subtract their absolute values. So what is the absolute value of negative 3? It's 3. And what is the absolute value of 4? It's 4, right? Now subtract them. 4 minus 3 is 1. And the sign of the answer will be the same as the sign of the greater absolute value. And the greater number is 4. The sign of that is positive. So it's going to be positive 1. You don't have to really put the positive sign. That's the answer. Let's try one more. Let's take 3 plus minus 4. Here again, you are adding two numbers with opposite signs. So what is the method? What is the absolute value of 3? It's 3. Subtract it with the absolute value of negative 4, that is 4. 4 minus 3 is 1. Now what will be the sign? It will be the sign of the greatest absolute value, and that is negative 1, because the 4 is the greater number over here and the sign of 4 is negative. So it's going to be negative 1. So using this concept, let's try a few problems. Let's try this. What is each sum? Negative 12 plus 7. Here the two numbers added have opposite signs. So what do? You subtract the absolute value. So what is the absolute value of negative 12? It's 12. And absolute value of 7 is 7. So 12 minus 7 is 5. But the question is, what will be the sign of 5? Since the greater number is 12, so the sign of that is negative, so it's going to be negative 5. Let's try another one. Negative 18 plus negative 2. Now here, the two numbers added have the same sign. So what do? You take the absolute values of these and add them together. We have seen that. So absolute value of negative 18 is 18 and absolute value of negative 2 is 2. Add them together, 18 plus 2 is 20. But what will be the sign? It will be the same as the addends. Both are negatives, so it will be minus 20. Let's try another. So negative 4.8 plus 9.5. The signs of the two numbers added are different. So you will take the absolute values of them and you will subtract them. So 4.8 minus 9.5 is 4.7. But the question is, what is the sign of this 4.7? The greater number is 9.5, and 9.5 is a positive number. So the answer of this is plus 4.7. Let's try another one, and that is a fraction this time. 3 over 4 plus negative 5 over 6. First and foremost thing, the two numbers added have opposite signs. So what do? You take the absolute values of them and you need to subtract them, correct? How do you subtract a fraction? When the denominators have to be the same. The denominators have to have the same numbers. Only then you will be able to subtract, correct? So let's rewrite this. 3 over 4, we are subtracting them, so minus 5 over 6. But since the denominators are not same, we have to make them same by taking the least common denominator. And that is, if I multiply the 4 with the 3, what will it become? 12. I need to multiply even the numerator with the same number. And if I multiply the 6 with the 2, it will become 12. I need to multiply the numerator also with 2. So now my new fraction is going to be 3 times 3, which is 9, over 4 times 3, which is 12, minus 5 times 2, and that is 10, over 6 times 2, and that is 12 again. Now my denominators are same, so I can easily subtract them, and that is going to be 1 over 12. But the question is, what should be the sign of this answer? The greater numbers has the negative sign over here. This is like plus minus 10. It's like this. So the sign of the answer will be negative 1 over 12. So I hope you've got this so far. Let's see whether you have got it or not by doing some of the problems in the got it section. So did you get this? You can hit the pause button, work it out, and then come up with the answer. So what is its sum? Negative 16 plus negative 8. Both the numbers have the same sign. So what are you going to do? You're going to add them and then put the sign of the addends, which is negative. So add 16 to 8. How much will it be? It's going to be 24. So this is going to be 24. What will be the sign? It's going to be negative 24. Great. Let's try another one. Okay, so we have another one. Negative 11 plus 9. So the two numbers have opposite signs. So what do? We subtract them. So 11 minus 9 is 2. So that's going to be 2. But the question is, what is the sign of the answer? The greater number is 11 and the sign is negative, so it's going to be negative 2. Let's try another one. 9 plus negative 11. Now again over here, the two numbers added have opposite signs. So what do? We subtract them again. So it's the same thing as the previous problem. So it's going to be 2. And the answer of that is going to be negative 2. Let's try another one. Negative 6 plus negative 2. So what did you get? Both the numbers added have the same sign. So what do? You add them together. So 6 plus 2 is 8. And what will be the sign? It's going to be negative because both the numbers have negative sign. So the answer is negative 8. Great. Let's move on with further concepts of this real numbers. Okay, let's try to understand another concept of opposites. Now, two numbers that are the same distance from 0 on a number line but in the opposite directions are called opposites. Now, what is the distance of 3 from 0? It is 3 units. What is the distance of negative 3 from 0? It is 3 units. So, can I say that negative 3 is the opposite of 3 because they are on the same distance from 0 but in opposite directions. So, what is the opposite of 3? It's negative 3. Similarly, what is the opposite of negative 5? It's going to be 5. And what do we mean by additive inverse? A number and its opposite are called additive inverse. As simple as that. A number and its opposite are called additive inverse. For example, what is the additive inverse of plus 4? It's minus 4. What is the additive inverse of plus 8? It is minus 8. What is the additive inverse of minus 10, negative 10? It's positive 10. So, you get that now? So, what is additive inverse? You can find the sum of a number and its opposite by using inverse property of addition. By inverse property of addition, you can find the sum of a number and its opposite. And what's that going to be? It's going to be 0. For example, 14, I add it to its additive inverse negative 14. So, the sum is always 0. Similarly, negative 14 plus 14 is always 0. So, the sum of additive inverses is always 0. Let's now understand subtracting real numbers. So far, we were dealing with adding real numbers. Okay, so let's move on. Now, let's try to understand subtracting real numbers. To subtract a real number, add its opposite. For example, A minus B. We are subtracting these two numbers. So, it is same as A plus the opposite of B is minus B. So, and we have learned how to add two real numbers. So, we can apply the concept over here. This was in general. Now, let's look at some examples. For example, 3 minus 5. Can I write the same thing as 3 plus the opposite of 5 is minus 5? And we know how to add two real numbers with opposite signs. And that is, what do we do? If two numbers are opposite signs and they are added, we subtract them and we put the greater number sign. So, 5 minus 3 is 2 and the sign of 5 is minus, so it's negative 2. So, let's try another one. 3 minus negative 5. So, the numbers are subtracted. So, what is the concept? If two numbers are subtracted, it's nothing but add its opposite. So, this can be written as 3 plus the opposite of negative 5 is 5, and the answer is 8. And we know how to add two real numbers, and two real numbers over here are both positive. So, add them and put the positive sign. So, that is how we subtract real numbers. To subtract real numbers, keep the first number the same and add the opposite of the second number. Let's try some problems over here. Okay, let's try this. What is each difference? Meaning subtracting two real numbers. We already know the method. When you want to subtract two real numbers, keep the first number as it is, add the opposite of the second number. What is the opposite of negative 13? It's positive 13. And now we know how to add two numbers with different signs. We subtract them and we put the bigger number sign. So 13 minus 8 is 5. And the sign of this is going to be positive because the 13 is a positive number. Great. Let's move on to the next one. 3.5 minus 12.4. How would you go about doing this? So keep 3.5 as it is. Add with the opposite of 12.4. Opposite of 12.4 is minus 12.4, negative 12.4. And now we know, what do we do here? Two numbers with opposite signs, when they are added, you subtract them. So negative 12.4 plus 3.5, subtract them and you get 8.9. Since 12.4 is a bigger number with a negative sign, the sign of the answer will be negative. Let's try this. 9 minus 9. Okay, let's follow the method. First number plus the opposite of 9 is minus 9. These are additive inverses of each other and the answer is 0. Pretty simple. Okay. So now let's try a word problem. Let's look at this problem now. Scuba diving. A reef explorer dives 25 feet to photograph brain coral. Dives means he is going down. He is at the sea level, so his distance is 0. Dives 25 feet, meaning goes down, negative 25. And then rises 16 feet to travel over a ridge. Rises 16 feet, so plus 16. To travel over a ridge before diving 47 feet to survey the base of the reef. So again he dives 47 feet, so minus 47. Then the diver rises 29 feet to see an underwater cavern. He rises, so plus 29. What is the location of the cavern in the relation to sea level? And now you know how to add and subtract these real numbers. So when you add and subtract these real numbers, the answer you get is negative 27. So the cavern is at negative 27 feet in relation to sea level. So that is the understanding of adding real numbers. Thank you very much for watching this video and keep practicing and never give up. You have the potential to learn, and subscribe to this channel and click the like button. Thank you. My name is Askar Khan and this lesson was explained by me, and I run a math channel called Wisdom Outlined. You can visit this channel for more videos on math. And I also give math private tuitions in person as well as online. So if you want to contact me for math classes, you have my number displayed over here. You can contact me at 00966 507 081702. I also run a Principles Outlined YouTube channel for self-help principles to enhance our effectiveness. Do watch these channels, subscribe to them, and do click the like buttons and share this video with one and all. Thank you for watching.